my goodness, we are live.
Yes.
Is it true? Is it really, really true? Hello,
Holler at the
everyone.
hero.
Hi,
Oh,
everybody.
hello. It's Friday. It's October 1st. It's the first Friday of October. It's the first Friday of Q4. And it's the first Friday of the Q4 Facebook Live Woman Up Weekly Wisdom Show. Woo! Holy smokes. Welcome, everyone. You know the drill. We love to know who's here, that you can hear us, and we'd love to know where you are watching us from today. Are you home? Are you at the office? Are you in your car? Are you a mom who's hiding in the bathroom because you can't get a moment's peace? What are you doing? Where are you? And what do you got planned for this weekend? Share some things to get us inspired, because well, as you can tell, we have the four corners of the country covered here. We have LA represented with Miss Sarah. We have New Jersey with Ms. Tanya. We have Sarasota, Florida with the sassafras in those cool new specs. And then, of course, I'm up here in Seattle. So we are rolling literally across the country into the weekend. So make sure you let us know where you are watching from. You know what to expect. We're going to get some updates from Sarah after we do our Woman Up updates. And then we're going to have the economic update from Ms. Leslie. And then we're going to roll into a fierce conversation. This is going to be so much fun. We are so excited for you to all get to know Tanya even more, because most of you will recognize her name, since you might not recognize her because she's not our avatar today. She spoke at the virtual conference. So let's do a couple of things about what's happening with Woman Up. Q4 is everywhere. And we are getting ready to get into book club mode. So yesterday we put the poll up. There are 3 books that we are hoping to get your feedback on ASAP. For those of you who have not gone in to, we'll drop that link in here for the poll, but the likability trap is one of them. That's all. I mean, hello, the likability trap. Do I even need to explain that? How Women Rise, which is fantastic because this gal covers everything from your next career to your next yes in whatever it is that you're doing, whether that's asking for a promotion, trying to find more clients, and then Drop of the Ball, which is all about letting go, how I like to say it, ditch the senseless hustle, like find your true north here, people, and stop trying to be everything to everybody. So those are the 3 books. Make sure that you vote. If you are a reader and you want to attend, make sure you vote. And then, as always, if you have books that you've read over the last few months that you want us to include in future book club polls, drop them in the comments. The wisdom series, as you know, as we talked about at the conference, will kick off in November. We're going to do 6 weeks of conversations, and we are going to use the hot topics that happened during the coffee and conversations and the lunch and learns during the conference, because you all had to choose. We know it's desperately devastating that you had to choose. So we're going to bring some of those topics back to you with our mentors. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in November. And then the show, Fridays. Get it on your calendar again. We are going to be here 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, so that we, again, roll into the weekend for the rest of the year. Well, up until about December 18th. Because we're going to take the holidays off. So get ready, get going. And then I would love to have maybe not a whole minute, but maybe 10 seconds of silence for the 3 sisters we have lost. We lost in September. Our notorious RBG, our sister in arms who fought so hard so that the 4 of us would not be here without a lot of the things that she fought for. Thank you, Ruth. Helen Reddy, the woman who brought us I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. Holy smokes. And then for those of you who are, celebrity fans and who watched Game of Thrones, Diana Riggs passed, our Queen of Thorns. The matriarch. She's gone. Those 3 ladies, boom, boom, boom. So, heaven is well protected, and they are raising up the next generation that's going to float right on down here. So for all of you who didn't know those ladies passed, they passed. Give them a little head nod. I think that those were the 3 that I saw. I'm hoping that there's not more.
May they rest in power.
May they rest in, I'm loving that. I'm loving
like
that rest in
that.
power. It's so cool. I mean, power and peace. I want them to have both.
Absolutely.
R-A-P-P.
Absolutely.
R-A-P-P. Okay. All right. So Sarah, what do you got for us? I see some things on the list. What's going on?
We're a little busy here at CAR, and I'll just talk a little bit about CAR, but I know we have a national audience. But our board of directors is coming up. It's already started this week, next week, and a little bit the week after. If you are a California realtor, you are open, you can come, and the beauty of our board meetings being virtual and in Zoom is that you can come and visit and see what it's all about. You can get involved. So I would just encourage you. I'm not going to post the Zoom links because that's kind of icky. But if you're interested and you want to know more about getting involved on our board, or just want to hear and listen to the process, DM me. So we'll get you the links, we'll get you the info. Again, it's open to all CAR members. And then open to all realtors is our Reimagine annual
Yay!
convention. Yes. And that is October 12th through the 14th. I've mentioned this before, but WomanUP will be there in full force. We have a booth in the expo hall. You can come and ask us questions. Of course, it's all virtual and it's via chat, but we're going to be there, Deborah, Leslie, and I, and we'll be there to answer any questions about WomanUP, how to get involved. And you do not want to miss Leslie's forecast. And that is, Leslie, tell me when your forecast is. Is it on the 14th?
It's on the 13th and it's at 1 o'clock.
And we'll post
so October 13th at 1.
Yeah. So if you register, if you're California, it is absolutely free to come to Reimagine. If you're outside of California, I think it's a small minimal, like $10 or $15, and don't quote me on that, but I will get you the info. Just we'll put it in the chat. Two other little things. So we have our Friday broker meetings where we get over 200 brokers together in a room on Fridays in Zoom. And I just wanted to give a heads up that our governor in California signed a whole slew of laws into place yesterday on September 30th. And so 2 days ago, and our crack legal team got together and put all of those new laws that pertain to real estate. And they put a summary, they put the effective dates. And so we'll post that in the links below as well, because there are some that really pertain to California realtors. And then I see Farrah Wilder, who is our Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer here at CAR. We're so excited to work with Farrah. But the Deliberately Fair Housing Facebook group is hosting a book club on October 20th. For the Race for Profit book, which is almost like a sequel to The Color of Law, but it's a really great book, lots of learning, tough read, but so good. And we'll post that info in the comments as well. And that's it for me. At this point, Leslie will give her economic update.
Yeah, and I do want to say Race for Profit is also on Audible, and it's a little bit easier that way, especially for anyone that is font challenged like myself. So anyway, I'm hoping that everyone can hear the forecast on October 13th, but as soon as that meeting's over, I will be providing, summaries in all of our WomanUP Fridays. So we'll get you the information one way or the other. So just a couple of things on the latest this week, really three things. This morning, the September jobs report came out. The unemployment rate dropped again. It's now at 7.9%. There were 661,000 new jobs added to the economy. So we're down about 10.7% since February. And it was described this morning as a kind of a two-sided economy. There are people that are doing actually quite well, working from home, lots going on, the tech sector, so on. And then there are the people in the kind of high touch intensive minimum wage jobs that are coming back a little bit, but are really having a tough time. A full over 2 months now that the extra unemployment insurance stimulus has been provided. You also have companies announcing really big layoffs, right? Disney this week announced 28,000 were being laid off. American Airlines 19,000. So this the PPP money is starting to run out. So we're still in a recovery. We're still going forward, but it's really slowing. You also saw that in the initial claims for unemployment assistance this week. So a little bit of an improvement. It was 837,000 new apps, which was down a little bit from the week before, but still not a great number, right? We need more momentum there. And then finally, 2 days ago, the House approved a $2.2 trillion relief package, but there isn't much bipartisan support. It doesn't look like the Senate's going to take it up. So it's getting increasingly likely that we're not going to see more money for relief between now and the election. On the housing market, we've talked a lot the last month or two about just how strong the market has been, particularly at the upper end of the market, which has just been incredibly strong. And again, the September numbers that we're calculating right now are going to look very, very good. And the fourth quarter is going to be strong, but it's going to show a bit of a pullback. I think part of that is the delayed seasonality, if you will, and partly that we're in just such a low inventory environment. Delayed seasonality. Our weekly data for last week showed closed sales down about 8.5%, pendings down a little bit less than 0.1%, and new listings down a little bit less than 8%. So just losing a little bit of momentum there, but really expecting some more good numbers. So hang on to your hats, everybody, and we'll see what's happening next week.
Hang on to your hats. I love that. So, you know, I actually saw another article. I'll go and grab it. The Lean In org, and I think it's the womenintheworkplace.com. They released their most recent report, and it was talking about how real estate really has an opportunity, I think, if I read what I read, right, that there are a lot of women who are in corporate America who are feeling so iffy about what they want to do in their careers because of all of the needs that have been required of them as now, snack queen and principal and all of the things that Miss Sarah and her group talked about at the event, that they're trying to figure out if they want to stay in corporate America or if they want to turn their side hustles into, I think the term is home hustle. And I swear I cannot handle that. Like, let's just talk about home-based business. Like, why does it have to be a hustle? Anyways, I digress. So Tanya, you are the perfect woman for us to talk to about this today, the growth, the real estate industry. And so let me introduce you and share a little bit about who Tanya is. Now, again, those of you who are at the conference, you heard her wisdom come through loud and clear in her conversations. But Tanya is the Senior Vice President of Human Resources for Realogy. Now, when I say Realogy, it sounds like a company. It's not just a company. It includes both franchise and company-owned brands such as Better Homes and Gardens, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Corcoran, ERA franchise systems, Sotheby's International. Catch my breath. So this woman is a BAB to the core. She knows what she is talking about when it comes to building organizations, bringing in the right people, making sure that the right people are in the right seat. But not only is she in the HR side of things, she's also a champion of diversity and inclusion across the board. She has been part of NAREP, and she has been part of ARIA. So she's going to share with us a little bit about her spiciness when it comes to making sure there is representation at the table. So welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. There's no better way. I'd rather be spending my Friday afternoon. I wish I could hang out with you ladies every Friday to close out the week. I know, Deborah, you were mentioning earlier, it's funny, what is everyone doing right now, right? Are we home? Are we in the car? I think I did all of the above of what you mentioned in the past 24 hours. I had my first off-site business meeting, socially distanced, and Obviously, everyone wearing their protective gear. So that felt really good. I've had a call within the past 2 days in the closet, hiding from my children so they wouldn't interrupt the conversation. And I was in the car for about 6 hours over the past 2 days. So it's been fun.
Well, and I've seen you have been everywhere. Everyone is asking for a slice of Tanya these days. I saw you on a great conversation with two gals. I think that it was related to, was that last month? And it was about everything that was happening around honoring the Latinx community.
Yes.
You were just like whoosh, 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 in that conversation.
It was great.
Like, just
It was a
well
fun
done.
conversation.
Yeah, I'd love to get that link and drop it in so that everyone in here can really soak that in as well. So what else have you been up to besides all of the things?
So I would say a lot of trying to, get back to business. I mean, business is picking up significantly, figuring out how we're all going to work effectively in this new norm, engaging with our leadership teams, engaging with our teams, and really focusing in on leveraging a lot of the silver linings that came through the COVID crisis. So a lot of planning, a lot of execution, and really thinking about what this all means for us in the new year.
Wow, Tanya. And so, Senior VP of Human Resources for one of the largest real estate companies in the world is such a huge role. And I want to unpack that a little because I'm really curious to know like a little bit of your day-to-day, but I do want to kind of go back to pre-senior VP and, what was your first leadership role and what was the path to that role as we look back?
So sure. So, it's been a long time. So I've been in my current, I should say with my current organization for 18 years. So rewind, I've been in HR consulting, I've been in the technology sector. And so my first, I guess, true leadership role was with a company called Globix. I was leading their sort of HR expansion, their growth. We were they were an internet service provider, and we were opening up data centers really across the globe. And I was heavily focused on recruiting, so lived in many different cities, and that was a lot of fun. And then the office was based in Manhattan, very close to the Trade Center. And so on 9/11, I was literally in the building moments before the first plane hit. So I mean that's a whole discussion in and of itself from a leadership learning experience perspective, but because I physically couldn't get to my office, after that tragedy occurred, I had to look back in New Jersey where I was living, and that's how I landed at the time with Realogy, what was known as Ascendant 18 years ago. So
Wow,
it's been a lengthy journey, and it's been fun.
Years.
It's been fun, just along the way. I remember when joining, it was the best real estate market in the history of the industry. So that was fun. And then shortly thereafter, it was the worst real estate market. Being in HR, that wasn't so fun.
Lots of key learnings though, I bet.
Lots of key learnings, and just, launching brands and integrating brands and building companies. For me, I really believe, I love what WomanUP focuses in on, because we're trying to empower women to really pursue their dreams from a career perspective, whatever that might look like. And it's a lot of what I do on a daily basis. And so, you mentioned in the intro, looking at making certain you have the right people in the right positions. And that's so important as an individual, as a leader, and more importantly for companies. So I love what I do. The leadership journey has certainly been a great one, not without significant challenges along the way. Being a woman, being young at the time, not anymore, but young at the time, 18 years ago.
Tanya, you'd never know.
Oh my gosh. And I've aged over the past couple of months for sure. But,
I grew some grays.
I was young at the time. I was female. I was in human resources. And so the company didn't really have an established HR function. So there was that challenge, being Hispanic, in a predominantly at the time, white male dominated organization, because that's what the industry reflected. So it was challenging just to kind of push, influence, get your foot in the door, build that credibility. But I did it, so everyone can do it, and that's why we're here.
Tanya, I want to, before I ask you to expand on that a little bit, I want to just say I still remember sitting with you at dinner a year ago when we were in San Diego for WomanUP, and I don't know if it was you or one of your colleagues who had never been to a WomanUP conference before came and sat down and just was like, I've never been to a conference like this before. It was just
Exactly.
Right. It was just like the cutest thing, because it was like, yeah, it's really different when you talk about real things, you know.
And we were in that room behind closed doors, and it was just the perfect setting to just let everything out, you know. So,
anyway, so it's
that.
really delightful to see you again. But I'd like you to talk a little bit more about like what happened next. Okay, you got into Realogy, and it's like all white men, and here you've got this HR function. Like, how'd you move things?
You know, I remember that aspect, Leslie, so vividly, because I just, it was like an observation. It was an aha moment for me, because, you know, I wasn't from the industry. And so I didn't know about the industry. And then I saw what I saw from a demographic standpoint in the company, outside the company, did some research on just agents and brokers and the world of real estate. And quite frankly, was just so taken back by the lack of generational diversity, the lack of ethnic diversity, and the lack of women in leadership roles in an industry that is predominantly female driven. But when you really, you know, peel back the onion, you see a glaring, you know, challenge / opportunity. And from that moment on, it was my passion and mission to at least attempt to influence key stakeholders, get involved with the right people, surround myself with the right people, and try and change the trajectory. And that was, like I said, you know, well over 15 years ago. So to your, you know, earlier call out, Deborah, you know, with my involvement with NAREP and ARIA and NAREP and NAGLREP, and obviously now WomanUP, it is like, this is my world. And I think we all have a role to play in changing that as individuals, as leaders, and everyone in the real estate space from a company standpoint. Because we have work to do, ladies. We have a lot of work to do.
Have you gotten
progress, but not enough.
Have you gotten a lot of support from inside the organization?
You know, it's a great question. I was very fortunate because, you know, look, it took a certain way of positioning and sharing data, right? Data doesn't lie, it's there. But, you know, I reported to Alex Perillo for 14 years. He was a champion of mine and this effort, and that made a ton of difference. And so when you have the right people surrounding you, I mean, I'm proud of our brand leaders, our women leaders. I mean, everyone is all in. They've been, and right now, I mean, we have so many wonderful activities and discussions and programs to try and really have an impact here. But it doesn't take one individual. It doesn't take one company. It takes the entire industry. So that's sort of what we're looking at and having discussions about at the moment.
Oh, that's so well. And as I mentioned, I've been seeing a lot of you and hearing a lot from you lately, which is amazing. And I'm also seeing a lot from the other women inside the Realogy brand. I actually saw an interview with Stephanie, who we love, and she was saying she didn't have much exposure into the brand or the brands, and was pleasantly surprised by all of the women around the table. Right. And so I think that we're starting to get to the point where we have a lot of women to highlight that we haven't highlighted yet. So we've got a lot of work there as well. Right. So we know we want to get more women around the table. But we have women we haven't even met yet. Right.
That's right.
And that's so exciting. And I've seen personally, you know, when I started my career in real estate back in 2002, I started with Coldwell Banker, and I've seen that executive team change so much over the last almost 20 years. So basically you and I started there at the same
That's
time.
right,
just
that's
to the
right.
regret. And it's, I mean, it was very male vanilla.
Mhm.
And now it's not. Like, I love it. It's so exciting. So kudos to you on that. To kind of shift from the specifically about the brands and maybe even specifically on the women's side of things, let's talk about being a leader, right? No matter how we identify ourselves, we can all say we all identify as leaders. So over the last 7 months, we've been on the Corona coaster. Everyone's calling it the Corona coaster, right? It's like we don't know what to expect day to day. And outside of that, we've had, major fires and major hurricanes, and like Mother Nature is pissed, like so
Someone's pissed at us, that's for sure.
like there's so many, like people don't even want us in their countries right now, for crying out loud. And so
2020 needs to be laid to rest. How about
like
that?
a little spank and off she goes, right? So the reality though is that there is there are positive things we can look at. There are silver linings. And I heard you use that word. I was like, yes. So let's talk about the lessons, the leadership side of things, that maybe something you honed that you didn't even know needed to be honed before this year happened. Sprinkle us with your wisdom on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, so past couple months, everyone's been through a tremendous amount of adversity, whether it's work, whether it's personal, children. I mean, it's a new world. And I think that as a leader, some of the leadership lessons that we've learned are the importance of really deep connections with your peeps, like with your people. And it's not the traditional, it's not only your team, but it's outreach to your peers, to the level ups. We often, I know our CEO, you often just think everyone's okay, certain levels and everything. And you don't really think to ask or connect or say, let's grab a virtual cup of coffee or a glass of wine virtually. But when you think about your full sphere, it's important to reach out and wow, like the relationship building that's gone on as a result of those outreaches has been phenomenal. I know for me personally, it gave me a moment as a leader to really take a step back. We're not running around, traveling around the country frantic and just, and really think about individuals that I wanted to connect with, whether it's on a deeper level for the first time, re-engage with. And that's an important lesson that I'm trying to take with me now that we're not back in the offices or anything, but we're all discovering what our new normal is. So we're not dealing with the crisis only at the moment. We're sort of beyond that. And I'm trying to keep those nuggets that we picked up along the way, live. And I think that's an important one. Another one is just the overall, as a leader, it's important to reevaluate, right? And also challenge your team to reevaluate and really think through and reflect. Are you happy? Is everything in life, the way that you'd like it to be? And so we've seen a lot of personal changes, a lot of career changes, because it this crisis challenged us to think about, wow, like life is short. Am I happy? Am I challenged? Am I, just complacent? And I think it's incumbent upon us as leaders to drive those conversations, likely more often than we were pre-COVID.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of tap in on that. Like, what does that look like? What did those how did you start the conversation? How did you get people to like really, come alive and come and be open about what they wanted to do or what their next change, or did it just kind of unfold in front of your eyes? Like, did you kind of pull it out of them, especially being the HR leader for the company?
I think that a lot of it was prompted by, discussions like this, real conversations, right? And so think about it. We had conversations not as deep as we are now and not as often as we are now. And we didn't reach as many people as we are now. So I think a lot of it came from that there was a level of comfort that followed these types of conversations. I mean, and I'm engaging with people, you know, at all levels, or not even working with the company, and just talking about life. And I think the blend of our personal, professional coming together, whether we had that before or not, I did not, as I do now, I think that's a beautiful thing. I really do, because it allows you to really be your whole self, your authentic self, and that is your best self. So for me, from a leadership standpoint, it's a really important sort of guiding principle that I want to, you know, carry with me in years to come.
I love that. And I'd love to speak into all of the broker owners who are watching right now who don't have an HR partner, right? Because this is a big conversation, ladies, because I think that so many people fear or step away from asking their team, how do you feel? Because they're nervous about what the answer is going to be. And what will that mean for me? What if they say, I'm miserable, I'm unhappy, these conversations are so there. It's like the mammogram conversation. Like, it's better to like go in, have the tatas checked, and know, right? It's so much better. Otherwise, you just have these people who are festering and unhappy. I think this is so beautiful, especially coming from an HR leader who is your world. And what they say to you, there's like a therapy side of things. Like, there's therapy in going to see your HR, right? And there is that kind of sacred space that you create, right? They can come in and
Absolutely,
you know, unless there's some kind of weird violation happening, they have a safe place.
absolutely. Yeah, there's everything in between.
Like, I can't even imagine. But I think that's so great. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, ask the questions. It's such a great time. Reach out, reach up. Oh, so beautiful, Tanya. Thank you.
Powerful lesson.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really is one of the big silver linings to this whole experience, is that people really are asking those kinds of questions, because how are things going at home now is very relevant to how are you doing in your job, right? It's just kind of come together. So
Absolutely.
So anyway, we've all had to try new things. And one of the things we did this year at WomanUP, as you mentioned, was being an avatar in a virtual world. And I thought it was great fun. And I'd really be interested in hearing what some of your key moments, key takeaways, what were some of the things that delighted you during the conference this year, Tanya?
Well, I think first I learned how to become an avatar. So I showed up at my pre-meeting as a blonde male with, I think, a beard and a bow. So that was my first lesson learned. I fixed myself. Okay.
By the way,
that
we
was
cried
fun.
for days because it was so funny. I still cry.
So funny. I'm crying now. So it was hysterical. So that was one. But I have to say, I mean, it was like the perfect timing. So first, I mean, you know, just generally speaking, the takeaways for me from the conference, like the stories of resilience. I mean, these women dealing with personal loss, dealing with having to be the principal, the teacher, you know, the stay-at-home mom, running their companies. I mean, but then also in that same conversation, sharing that, you know, they just recruited 30 agents, you know, the past month, or that they decided to, you know, affiliate with a national brand or a global brand. I mean, the story, my panel, I was so amazed with these women and what they've accomplished during this period of time. And they so many, you know, of the panelists and of the speakers shared that this was a perfect time for them to take a risk. And I think that, you know, and we've had this conversation about what WomanUP means to me personally is inspiring other women to take that action, whatever it is, have the conversation, reach out to someone they heard that inspired them, ask them how they did it, or building their confidence, because I think that's something that we have to talk more about. It's important to build your own confidence, and it's important to build others' confidence, because without that, we're not going to make that move. We're not going to show up the way we need to show up to drive what we need to drive. And I just, for me, hearing all of those stories of resilience and perseverance and just the risks that these women took were my biggest takeaways. And I have to say, just like the fun aspect of it, I don't think there was any fun in any of the conferences that I attended this whole COVID period, outside of my own, I did a scavenger hunt with my team, but boat rides and seeing all of the groups on Facebook, their avatar pictures, engaging in all of these events, it was a ton of fun as well.
Well, I love that. And that's what WomanUP is all about, is to really help you take some of those risks and know that you are not alone, right? And that's, I think I want to just give a shout out to Deborah, who brought us all in that avatar world and really just helped me personally take that risk, because I was like, what? Avatars? What? And it was so awesome. And we got our feedback surveys and we thought, oh God, they loved it.
Mm-hmm.
They loved it. It was different. It was challenging. And we did it, ladies and
gentlemen. It was a risk. It was a risk.
It was a risk,
exactly. Worth it, right?
I just love, absolutely. And I love how you summed up what WomanUP is in just that segment. So, and I first thank you, Tanya, for believing in WomanUP from early on, what was it, 2017? And for Realogy to provide the financial resources and partnership for WomanUP to be a success.
Yes.
So number one, huge. Deborah, anything else? Or do we want to get into parting words of wisdom?
Well, I think that I wanted to say on the resilience piece, and when you were saying that when you're sitting there and you were listening, right? I think that we actually had an opportunity to truly listen to the stories this year.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that, if for me too, normally when I'm there, I'm like, there's a jillion things going through my head. And I'm like, shoot, I didn't hear anything today. Like, I have to go through the feed to see what I missed. And it was such, there were people who didn't like it. Let's just be real. So there's people who are watching here going, I sent in my feedback. I didn't like it. Of course, there were people who didn't like it. There are always people who don't like change. There are always people who, it's just not their bag, right?
Can't
That's not how
please
they
everyone.
roll. No, but there were, I stuck to the women who said, I didn't know what to expect, but I've learned something in this community that I am in a safe place to try new things. And, to piggyback on what Sarah was saying about Realogy being, and really Coldwell Banker being kind of the first element in the brand, and Better Homes and Gardens with Sherry. So Carla and Sherry at that time, really linking arms and bringing it to you, and you going, oh yeah.
We're doing this. We're
doing this. And not leaving it only at the WomanUP table, actually taking it back to your tables inside your brands and bringing the message internally. I think that, again, for those who are listening who thought, well, I didn't really want to do the avatar, but I did and I loved it. Well, maybe it's time to kind of put your toe in the water like Realogy brands have and say, how can we build better initiatives for the underrepresented groups of people in whatever that might be. Your executive team might be all women. Good for you. Do you have any spice and color? We all have work to do. So be brave, take the risk. Look, we're all here because RBG took the risk, right? So
and it takes effort. It's effort. Like, it really does. You have to be very intentional in doing this. And you mentioned, Deborah, the change in a brand like Coldwell Banker that you've seen over the years. I am so proud. I mean, I get to have a say in the talent, right? But the women that we have representing our organization, the women, the tribe that is behind WomanUP from a Realogy standpoint, it's amazing. I mean, and they're front and center running this industry. Pam Liebman from Corcoran, and Sherry Chris, and Jennifer Lynn that we just hired as our new NorCal president, and Stephanie and Sue and Kay. I mean, I am so fortunate to be surrounded by amazing women that literally we probably carried each other through, a good portion of this crisis, which is great to have to lean on. And also they believe so much in making a difference and driving change, whether that's, to your point, bringing on more women in leadership roles, or focusing in on ethnic diversity or generational diversity, whatever that gap is. We're all in, and we're excited to be partnered with WomanUP to make this happen.
100%. And I want to get connected with Jennifer up in NorCal, because I don't think I know her. So I know where to reach her.
I have the email. We are going to actually get on a phone call with her soon, because
wonderful.
we were connected. That's the beauty of this.
She's right by you. Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
We'll
she's in
definitely,
our
we
land.
definitely need to get to know her.
For sure.
I love it.
And any final words of wisdom, Tanya?
I would just say that, let's make a concentrated effort to do this, to lift each other up, to help one another build confidence, to help, create that path to, whether it's ownership or leadership. We all can do this, but it takes us to help move that along, and everyone plays a role in it. So that would be my last words of wisdom. And it's fun. You have a lot of fun along the way. You meet great people, and it's great. You stay connected.
Great
It really makes a difference.
conversations.
You can be home and just going into kind of a depression or malaise just because you're not seeing everyone. And then you get on a call like this, or like you were saying, to proactively reach out to people intentionally. It just can change everything around. I mean, one of the things we've got is this Peloton group now through I Am WomanUP, and it's, it makes you get on the bike when you never thought you were in the mood to do it, but you've got your group. And I just think you're just such an embodiment of that spirit, Tanya. It's just
so we'll have to talk offline.
To you.
Did you get your bike?
Well, we'll have to talk offline about the Peloton. I've had one here for about 3 years. I'm not a user of it. I need to be a user of it. I gained my, COVID-15. So Leslie, let's talk more about how I can get it.
You got it.
Give me your cell phone and I'll add you
some
to this
attention.
group.
I'm guessing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Sabrina will have dropped the link to that group in here, because I'm telling you, Ms. Sabrina Brown,
accountability partner.
Sabrina Brown, and I know Heather Osier just got her bike. She was posting it, so that's so exciting.
Yeah,
excellent.
I think I love that we're ending with that today. That there isn't one way to get connected inside this community. There are so many ways. There are so many lessons we can learn and teach each other, and even getting on the bike, right? That is something that is so incredibly important. It's actually foundational that we're taking care of ourselves and self-care. And I love that there are groups. I know that Pam Blair is going to be doing something for all of our, yoginis out there who are missing her and want to do more with her. And so, for those of you who are watching us live or catching the replay, we'd also love to know what your key takeaways from the 2020 event were. We love weaving those into the social media feed and to the blog, etc. The last reminders I think we have for today is the book club. Make sure that you get your vote in. We really want to make sure that we're choosing the book that everyone wants to really lean in on. Click the links that Sarah shared. Even if you're not in California attending Reimagine, there are some phenomenal speakers coming to share their wisdom at that. Come and join us for that. It's less than a week's worth of lattes. I'm almost positive. And
Leslie's interviewing Sherry Chris as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There's a broker conversation with Sherry, Anthony Hitt from Engel Volkers, and Mark McLaughlin.
So exciting. I mean, what a group, right? What a lineup.
What a group. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, there's iconic status in all four boxes there. I love it. So thank you to everybody who joined us today as we kick off again the Q4 show series. We have some amazing thought leaders and influencers that are going to join us. Again, special thanks to you, Tanya, for sharing the day with us, especially after your long week and your long drive. Hopefully everyone is leaving here today with more energy than they arrived with. And we are all flowing into our weekend with joy and excitement and hopefully some fun things planned. So
See you on the bike, everyone.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, she's cracking the whip already.
Tanya.
Once you say it out loud, Tanya, you can never
But,
leave
Don't
that.
forget.
That's good. I'm glad.
No
All right,
rider
everyone,
left
we'll see you.
behind.
We'll see you
I
next
was
Friday.
inspired. Thank you so much, ladies. Take care. I'll see you on the Peloton.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.